Throughout the history of the world, great teachers have made a lasting impact on the lives and the hearts of their students. All of us can recall a certain teacher, a very special someone who inspired us to learn and pushed us to grow and be better. The importance of teachers in society cannot be underestimated. They take on the responsibility of shaping young minds, and they change their lives for the better. This program is a tribute to and for teachers and celebrates the special and often heroic role they play in their students' lives. This program presents some extraordinary men and women whose timeless wisdom echoes the strength, character, and passion of educators all across our district and across our nation. This program is, in our small way, an opportunity to say thank you to those who educate, encourage, empower, and inspire the students of our world. Those who take a hand, open a mind, and touch a heart. Teachers. We are so happy at this time to welcome these fabulous teachers of the year that are going to share with us what's happening in their classrooms so that we'll know a little more about them and why they were selected to represent their peers as the teacher of the year at their respective schools. And we're starting today with the wonderful Miss Alicia Eslinger, who is the fantastic teacher of the year over at Manatee Academy. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
She's brought along with her my great friend Lily Beauchamp, who's the dynamic principal there. Ms. Beauchamp, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, it's a great honor to celebrate Teachers of the Year and the wonderful teachers that you basically represent at your schools. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us some background so that we'll know a little more about you.
I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania, and I've been in Florida for about 14 years. I have only worked at Manatee Academy and have enjoyed those moments and have been fortunate enough to be able to stay there and kind of work towards my professionalism and becoming a teacher and building upon that.
So Ms. Eslinger, tell us what grades you teach and what that involves throughout your day.
I teach first grade. So it's very busy and fun, and I have to be very energetic, and I use a lot of comedy and playfulness to try to keep them going. I have a SEL infused classroom. We use a lot of social emotional learning strategies throughout the day to try to keep them balanced and learning how to keep track of themselves and build their confidence and get along with others in the right way.
So tell us, why did you choose teaching as a profession?
I really wanted to make a difference somehow in my community, and I love working with kids. So it was kind of a win-win for me when I figured out, my path.
So when we talk about what's happening at home, and you mentioned the socially emotional learning, that aspect, first of all, tell us, how do you collaborate between the school and the home to make sure that what's happening in the school is understood and supported at home and vice versa?
Well, I work very hard to establish and then maintain positive relationships with parents. And I mainly do that with Class Dojo. And in the past, especially before this year, I would share a lot of pictures and share, what we're doing in the classroom. And I also try to send positive notes to let them know how their student is doing, and then if there is difficulties, what we can work on with reading and math skills.
We know that this year is a very different year because of the pandemic. How has that made you adjust your style, your teaching, your communication?
I would say it has to do a lot with the social emotional learning, and that, every student is coming in and, have been through a lot this year. So trying to make them feel comfortable and be able to know how to work in the classroom without being so close to their friends and without being able to do some of the more collaborative type things that we've done. So I think it's been a little bit of a challenge, but we've got it pretty well figured out.
I tend to think as well, the same as well, because we know that school is a social environment, and it's so hard for us to say, no, don't be that close to each other, or do this, don't do that. So I think we've all had to make some adjustments, but I think those adjustments are going to only make us better and make the profession better. You talked about teaching first grade. A lot going on, very busy day down there. Describe for us a typical day, probably in math or in reading, one of those two subjects. What does it look like in your classroom?
For reading, we work on a lot of our sight words and building our foundational skills for reading. So we work on a lot of sight words, and we do our fluency practice, and then we work on our comprehension skill for the week. And then we go to centers, and it's actually my favorite time of the day when I get to sit down and work with the students on differentiated instruction, because I feel like that's when we really get to, I get to help them, each student with whatever they need to work on. That's actually my favorite time of the day, working in small groups and trying to figure out what the kids need and make sure that they're building their skills at a rigorous level.
Ms. Beauchamp, you've been with us for many years now, but there just might be somebody that does not know who the fantastic Lily Beauchamp is. So give us a little bit about your background.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. This is my 28th year in St. Lucie County Public Schools.
Wow.
But you have to add to the 28 years, the years that I was actually a St. Lucie County Public Schools student. So
yes.
I graduated from Fort Pierce Central High School.
Go
I started on Go Cobras, of course. And I started in kindergarten in St. Lucie Public Schools. So from day one, I have been a student here. I have a passion for being a part of St. Lucie County. I graduated from the University of Florida. I received my specialist degree from FAU. I was a guidance counselor for several years. So I think that I've had the wide experience that makes me even better at being what I do each and every day, I think. I just love being a principal.
Well, you have the overwhelming joy of going into Mrs. Eslinger's classroom on a regular basis. Tell us, what is it that you see? What is it that you hear? How does that classroom make you feel?
So I say, personally as a principal, that one of the best things if you're having a bad day is to go into a kindergarten class or a first grade class, because those students just bring you that joy. Mm-hmm. And one could think, if you weren't an experienced person going into a first grade classroom, that it's almost like herding cats. Like there's stuff going on everywhere, everywhere, but it's fun and it's great, and you know that the learning is still taking place. So I can go into Ms. Eslinger's classroom and the students are engaged, they're working, there's a sense of community in the classroom, and I think that comes from the social emotional piece that she builds into it. So they care about each other. So not only are they working towards building their skills, whether it's in reading or math, but it's also that compassion. We can go in there and greet the students and say, hey, your co-student is now the student of the month, our star student. And everybody else is like, they clap for them. What do they say, Alicia?
You rock, and then the student's name.
Yeah, and that's like, it's automatic. It's not like it's a forced thing or Miss Eslinger has to prompt them in some way. It's just like that compassion that they have for each other. It's great.
Again, because you have the privilege of being there every day, describe Ms. Eslinger for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why.
Enthusiastic. Again, she shows that enthusiasm. She's not, one of those monotone teachers. She's all over the place working with the students. Passionate and committed. So when I think about passionate and committed, I can put both of those 2 words together and say that Ms. Eslinger, she's our SEL representative, not only for the school, but she also represents us for the school district. She's on that committee. And I think that's really important, especially as you mentioned earlier, Dr. Perry, about this, change of a year where there's this pandemic going on, to have that passion that, you're caring about students, because not only is it about academic, it's about that relationship piece. So, there's that dedication and that compassionate piece that comes straight in.
Great. Enthusiastic, passionate, and committed. So, Ms. Eslinger, being an educator today, you've been in the field 14 years here at Manatee. What do you consider to be a major education issue that's facing education and educators today?
I think that we just don't have enough time in the day and not always the enough resources or support. I feel like the kids in first grade, they just need so many things, you know, with their kind of starting out with their foundational skills that I just think that we need some more time in the day sometimes or extra resources as it's always more to do. I feel like always more work to do with them.
As a dedicated, enthusiastic, passionate educator, we always want to give more to our students, so time and resources could be a very pressing issue. So, Ms. Beauchamp, what makes Ms. Eslinger the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
She cares about her children. Each one of them, as she mentioned earlier about differentiating. You know, that's so important in the classroom to have a teacher who can differentiate and work with students of all ability levels. You know, whether it's a student who's struggling academically or behaviorally. She's our go-to person, and sometimes that a person who is the go-to person sometimes feels like, oh my gosh, you know, but that's really a compliment. You know, a teacher who can handle any student and work with them and wants to see them achieve no matter at what academic level they start out with, to see them succeed and realize that, you know, it's not a tested area, but it's so important. You know, the foundations, you know, we keep talking about foundations, and those are the teachers who are phenomenal. And Alicia exemplifies all of those characteristics.
So, Mrs. Eslinger, if you're selected as the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools, you become our supreme educational ambassador, forced to have conversations on a regular basis with the mayor, with city commissioners, county commissioners, those type people. What would your message be?
That we got this, that we're going to figure it out and collaborate and plan together and get through, you know, some of the challenges that may be upcoming with, you know, the changes that we've had this past year. So I would just be positive and think that, you know, we've gotten this far. The hardest part is over, and you know, we got this.
Well, Ms. Eslinger, Albert Einstein said, "It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge." And we know that's what's happening in your first grade classroom at Manatee Academy. Ms. Eslinger, thank you for joining us. Ms. Beauchamp, thank you for joining us. And as we would say in your classroom, you rock.
Definitely.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play more. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
At this time, we want to welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show the wonderful Miss Karen Maxwell, who's the dynamic Teacher of the Year over at Viciere Elementary. Welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you.
Oh, and congratulations on your selection.
Thank you.
She's brought along with her the awesome principal over at Viciere, Miss Siobhan Silas. Miss Silas, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Miss Maxwell, we're introducing our Teachers of the Year for our schools to our viewing public. We know that you represent the many teachers at your site, but just in case there's someone that does not know who you are, and we want to enlighten them, give us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So this is my 12th year teaching. I have taught all my years here in St. Lucie County. I grew up here, born and raised in South Florida, so I know that's not the norm anymore. So, and I went to Florida Atlantic University.
Wow.
Got my, go Owls, my bachelor's degree in elementary education. I did my student teaching in Martin County, and then got my first job here in St. Lucie County. And I've worked at 4 different schools, teaching 4th grade and 5th grade. I'm currently doing 5th grade math. And I just love it. I have my husband is also a math teacher here in the district. We have a son, 6 years old in kindergarten at Viciere. So just passing on that love of math.
Great, great. Miss Silas, introduce yourself, please.
I'm Siobhan Silas. I am originally from Queens, New York. I've been here for about 18 years. I've been at Viciere for 4.5 years as assistant principal and moving into principal position this year.
Welcome and congratulations to
Thank you
also. So, if I were to walk into your math classroom, tell me what a typical day would be like.
Yeah, so What I like to do, I know a lot of times, you teach your new content, and then we have our crunch time later in the year, but I tend to kind of mix the two together all year, starting basically in August. So a typical math class for me would be starting with some reviewing content, maybe 10 minutes in the beginning just to kind of get their brains warmed up, and then moving into that new content piece. We frequently use a lot of visuals, PowerPoints, notes as that introductory piece to get the students, digging up some of that prior knowledge, applying it to what we're doing, and just building. I always reference it kind of as building a house. They should kind of have the floors and the walls. I'm still now kind of adding on the roof, but we got to make sure the floors and the walls, that they stay good. So we work on all the pieces together. And I just think that kind of keeps them fresh, and it helps them make those connections as the year goes on to what we're doing now, to what we've done previously. I do a lot of modeling to start my lessons, kind of the I do, we do, you do piece. And we just move through that. That's really how the process goes for each of my classes. Reviewing, introducing, practicing, and then as they're working on their individual pieces, going around, monitoring, do they understand? Is there anybody that needs extra support? And then just kind of culminating it at the end with just that practice. And that's when we start the next day, I'll kind of touch back on the previous lesson, do the little review, and just kind of try to tie everything together with what I do. Help them to see the big piece rather than individual lessons.
So let's jump right in and talk about this year. Mm-hmm. Very different year because of the pandemic and
yes.
What it's causing us to do and make us adjust as educators. First of all, tell us, with that thought in mind, what are your goals for this year?
So it's really unique for me. I'm teaching both traditional and virtual classes. Mm-hmm. I have 2 traditional and 1 virtual. So typically my number one goal, and I don't really think that has changed, is growth. I expect to see from when you entered my classroom in August to see growth, in May. And I want to see that year's growth, if not more. That's always my goal. But I'm always looking for growth. And I still have that same goal. But I'm achieving it kind of different ways, I find. In traditional classroom, it's easy to look over their shoulder, monitor them, see them, here's your work. So I've had the uniqueness with my virtual class of how do I have that same monitoring piece? How do I measure their growth and really ensure they're understanding the lesson? So kind of had to think outside the box with that, with doing a lot of individual calls, a lot of virtual meetings with the students, with their families as well, and just seeing, what's happening when I can't see them and when they're in my class but behind that screen. So I don't really think my goals have changed for my students this year any more than normal. As far as I want to see them grow, I know that a lot of them have a lot of hurdles maybe this year they don't normally have. If they have a family member that's ill, or I've had students that have had to quarantine. So just finding different ways to still reach them when they can't be in a traditional setting, or if they have something going on personally that, might be distracting them. Still, though, that goal of growth and how can I reach them regardless of what's going on.
With that same theme in mind, how do you facilitate collaboration between the home and the school during this time?
So I'm really, really big on communication with families. I always tell them at the beginning of the year, you might be tired of hearing from me. I have a number of ways, even before having the virtual component. I communicate probably number one through email with families, but I'm not afraid, to pick up the phone, call. This year we've had a lot of virtual conferences, of course. I have a classroom Facebook page, so another way for parents to kind of get a window into our classroom, posting pictures of what we're doing in class, our class notes, presentations we might have in class, so that they can view that. We've done Facebook Live videos of what's going on in class right there on the Facebook page, and parents can communicate through there. I also have a YouTube channel for my classroom of math videos I've created of my lessons in my classroom. So again, another way for a parent to kind of feel like they can, what's my child doing during the day? Oh, I can actually see a video of their teacher teaching it. And then that kind of really opens up a new world of communication with the parents, because it's not, well, how can I help my child? It's, oh, I watched your video, I understand this, and now we can move, forward to here. So there's really a bunch of avenues for me to communicate with a family, and not even just in the traditional sense, but really as I always tell the kids, it's as close to me being in your house teaching you as I can possibly get with all the components that I try to put out there.
Okay. Mrs. Silas, you have the opportunity to experience the magic on a regular basis.
Yes.
So when you visit Mrs. Maxwell's class, tell us what is it that you see here, and how do you feel?
Well, I love going into Miss Maxwell's class. I feel like I am one of the students when I go into her classroom, really. She is so enthusiastic about the content, and it's because her repertoire is huge. Like she said, she grew up with math. Her husband's into math. Her son, they're like mathematicians, if I can say. So when I go in, I see students attending to the content. And not just attending to the content, but the specifics of what she's teaching. She's chunking out the skills. She's not letting students off the hook. And when she said that she walks around and monitors, that's like an understatement. She monitors the students not only for understanding, but how well they're doing. And if she sees a student struggling, she'll give them prompts. She won't let them off the hook, but she'll prompt them, give them that self-esteem and that confidence to get the right answer. So it's phenomenal when I go into her room.
So describe her, please, using 3 adjectives, and tell us why you chose those 3.
Oh, okay. 3 adjectives. Well, first and foremost, I would have to say she is very strategic. Everything that Miss Maxwell does, she's a planner now, okay? She plans and she thinks through each and every lesson and how she wants her students to respond. She plans with the end in mind. So she's very strategic in that way. Then I would have to say proactive, okay? Now I say proactive because anytime I send out an email and it may be a deliverable, I need this information back, ding, Miss Maxwell is usually the first one to come back with either a question, clarifying information, or with what I was, being asked for teachers to send me. So she's very proactive. And then the third, I would have to say caring. She truly cares for each and every student, and not only their academic success, but she cares about the whole child. She cares about that social, emotional well-being. And in this state where we're living in a pandemic, she cares about reaching all of those students so that they can show what they know.
Strategic, proactive, and caring. All descriptors of a person that we want to be the teacher of the year. But as the teacher of the year, it would be your job as the education ambassador to represent us in many different arenas, speaking to many different people. What would your message be?
I think one of the things that I feel most and I see most is people just not really knowing the full role of the teacher. And I think one of my messages would be just getting information out there to start of understanding what our goals are and how we can achieve them, and what really do we see and we deal with day after day with the whole child, with not only teaching them but taking care of them and ensuring that they are just every piece of it is healthy, the mental health, the physical health, the educational growth. And I would just talk about the support that teachers really, really need. Support with the education piece, support with the emotional piece, support with just all the pieces. I feel like people don't really realize how much is on a teacher's plate, how many balls we have juggling in the air at one time. And, you know, it really, you know, teaching is a team sport. If I drop a ball, I've got a teammate there to pick it up for me and, you know, throw it back into my stack or maybe take it on into their stack. And the support can be overwhelming, but there's always so much going on that I don't think the public sees, and where, you know, more support could be provided and help from the community. And, you know, it's that, you know, takes a village, and it really does, even with teaching. You know, my classroom can't run smoothly with just me. I need that village component. And I think I would really advocate for even more for teachers, even more support for when they need something for that student, whether it's, you know, supplies for the classroom or some motivational tool or methods on, you know, helping them emotionally or socially. I just really think that that's not fully understood, and I would want to get that voice out there of, like, you know, here's what we do, here's what we need, here's how you can support, and really putting out there the realism of being a teacher. We're not just up there teaching. There's so much more to it.
Mark Van Doren said, "The art of teaching is the art of assisting discovery." Thank you for helping students discover the magic of math every day in your classroom. Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Bayshore. Ms. Silas, congratulations, and thank you for joining us as well. And best wishes to much success throughout this coming year.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
At this time, joining us on this Teacher of the Year celebration show is the wonderful Miss Krysten Balfe and her dynamic principal, Miss Marcy Lucky, from Floresta Elementary School. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. We are so excited that each year we get to celebrate teaching and teachers, but then to show our viewers some of the dynamic teachers that we have here in St. Lucie Public Schools. Many people watching may not know who the wonderful Krysten Balfe is. So give us a little bit about your bio, please.
Absolutely. Well, I have been in Florida. This is my 5th year here teaching. I always go by school years. I am from upstate New York originally, born and raised. Went to college, SUNY colleges, SUNY Oneonta and SUNY Cortland. Worked at first, Head Start, little kids, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, and my first job actually was an infant teacher. That was a great job, but after that I moved up into preschool, and I feel like each year I graduate. And this year I get to teach 5th grade. Last year I was 4th grade, so you know I'm building up. Let's see, I started my educational career in 2002 was when I graduated. So I went from Head Start. I was in management for a while, but really missed being in the classroom. The best days I had were the days I was in a classroom observing other teachers, and I just felt I got to get back in there.
Cool.
So yeah, I've been here for 5 years, luckily.
Well,
yes.
We're glad to have you here with us in St. Lucie Public Schools.
Thank
Miss
you.
Lucky, just in case someone doesn't know who the awesome Miss Marcy Lucky is, introduce yourself, please.
Sure. My name is Marcy Lucky, and I am not a product of St. Lucie County, although I have been here for 29 years now. I have matriculated through teaching since 1999 here in St. Lucie County. And then I got my opportunity to be an assistant principal within the district at fantastic SLE. And now I'm the principal of Floresta. This is my 3rd year. As Mr. Gent calls us rookie, I am not a rookie anymore, so I'm just proud to be here.
Great. Thank you, ladies, again. So, Ms. Balfe, why did you choose teaching as a profession?
That is one of the hardest questions anybody asks.
Great way to start.
Right, the hardest
Get the hard ones out of the way, right?
I mean, there are so many reasons why. I just think of probably growing up as a child, just being in love with everything about school. School was my happy place. It was my place I could go to, and I felt I had my friends there, the teachers, and it was my happy place. I grew up in the country, summertime was boring. Then growing older and just getting to see wonderful role models of other teachers in high school and middle school, I just thought, I'm gonna take a piece of all the best things I've seen and be that person for other children. So I think in a nutshell, that's one of the reasons why, but I think of all the reasons why not. There's no reasons why not to be a teacher.
So you started with infants, moved your way to preschool, then the primary, and now you're in intermediate. So tell us, if I were to walk into your classroom, 5th grade classroom at Floresta, what is a typical day like?
A typical day is, it's amazing. I wish you could spend a whole day with us. We just start our morning calm. We do a greeting every day with one another, good morning, and we say good morning back. We have somewhat of a thinking question we reflect on, and you'll just see the kindness of these young adults. They all, thank you for sharing, and let's look at this student. Oh, let's hear what you have to say. So the morning starts out beautifully, just a great, great day. Then we move into our routine of our content areas, and you'll see it's not a quiet classroom. If you walk in, hopefully you hear a lot of talking. I try not to talk too much, but you'll see lots of talking with the students, a lot of cooperative work, and just they find it fun when I ask them, and they said, well, just tell them what a fun teacher you are. And I try to make everything a game instead of saying, okay, this is our next lesson. It's more of a game to them, and they want to work together.
So in this very different year, how do you facilitate collaboration between home and school?
It is a little bit different. I feel like this year I really do miss that, that open house and the face-to-face with parents. The best way I can do it is through different social media apps. Class Dojo is probably my go-to for it. I'm right there when they need me, right at that minute, message to message. I get to share all of the celebrations. The parents always want to know, how did we do on the test? We always look at the district test and the classroom test and look at our data. And so parents are always aware this is how our children are doing. I do announcements I usually do a prize day Friday. They know all about that. And also through Teams and phone calls. I'll make a phone call, or if a parent needs to meet, we'll do that via Teams. But I really do miss that face-to-face. Luckily, I had most of the students last year, so 13 out of 20 of my students know me from last year, and the parents.
So, Ms. Lucky, you get to experience the joy every day that you can walk into the classroom. So tell us, what is it that you see, hear, or feel when you visit Ms. Bass' classroom?
Oh my gosh. First, I can feel the love. I feel how devoted she is to her students just by the caring things that she always says. Nobody is left out in the classroom. What I see in the classroom also is kids learning from each other, kids working together. I see a classroom that is never silent unless they're taking an assessment of some sort. Kids learning together, growing together, collaborating together. She is an amazing, amazing teacher. And I wish I had more classrooms that were that way, but just the cooperation and collaboration in the classroom is wonderful to see. And COVID has not stopped that in her classroom. She has found ways around that for kids to be able to communicate together. So I just see a classroom where learning is always happening. There's never a time you catch her off guard. She's always doing what she's supposed to be doing, and so it's just an amazing learning environment.
So let's give you the opportunity to describe her using 3 adjectives, and then tell us why you chose those 3.
Okay. First and foremost, she is one of the most positive people that I've ever met. Even on her worst days, and we have seen some bad days together, she's always positive and always can find that silver lining in anything that happens. And so I do believe that she is positive, and she spreads that positivity not only to her students, but she spreads that positivity to her staff members, to other staff members as well. I think that she's also courageous. I asked her, she told you a little bit about moving from 4th to 5th grade, but what she did not share with you was that I just barely skimmed under the timeline to ask her to move to 5th grade. And she was a little fearful at first, but she jumped in and she took it as, you know what, this is a challenge. And this is a challenge that I've never had before. And you know what? I think I can do it. So she jumped right in. So it takes a lot of courage. Courage doesn't come because there isn't fear. It's fear and overcoming that which you are afraid of. And that's what she's done in the classroom. And last, I would say she's competitive. Her students, everything is a competition with them. And she is always trying her best to see how she can bring out the best in her classroom. I know one day my supervisor and I were walking in, and we walked in her classroom, and the kids were chomping away on some bubble gum. And you think no classroom should have gum in it. But that was what the kids wanted to earn for getting ahead in their class and doing well on their assessment. So they were having a bubblegum party and they were all just chomping away. And she's competitive with the scores, and she does what she has to help her kids excel.
So Mrs. Lucky said positive, courageous, and competitive.
Yes.
This is a little bit of a different year for us in education. But with you being competitive and positive, I'm sure there's a lot that you can be proud of. So what is it that you're most proud of so far during this school year?
I think this school year, what I am most proud of is, I know this is Teacher of the Year, but that competitiveness and the kindness my classroom has. I'm a coach. I feel like I'm a coach. I'm a facilitator. And I am just, every day I get to see some things that I have instilled in my students, typically towards the beginning of the school year, those acts of kindness, having a growth mindset. I'll teach it to them, and the next day I'll hear them say that, you got this, keep going, have a growth mindset. And that's really what has motivated me this school year, even though it is different, but the kids are more resilient than I am, so that I feed off of their strength as well, and think, you know what, they can do this, I can do this, and we're in it together.
So Ms. Lucky, what makes Ms. Balfe the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
I think that Ms. Balfe is the perfect candidate because she just embodies what a teacher really should be. Sometimes people get into education for different reasons, whatever it may be, but she's truly there for the students every day, all day. She rarely misses a day unless there's something that's really, that's earth-shaking that's happening. And so I think that she is just the embodiment of what a good teacher should be like, and what all students should have the ability to be able to have contact with. She teaches them not only the curriculum, but she teaches them how to get along with each other. She teaches them just how to be a good citizen. And those are things that are missing sometimes from our society. So it's really good to see that I have that in my classrooms at Floresta Elementary, and I think that she would be your perfect Teacher of the Year to represent us for St. Lucie County.
So let's close with one more question. As the Teacher of the Year, you automatically become the ambassador for education, possibly here in St. Lucie County. Have an opportunity to speak to many people about education. As the ambassador for education in St. Lucie Public Schools, what would your message be?
I think my message would definitely be one of, first off, build that foundation for students, whether virtual or in school, for a safe, comfortable learning environment that they can take risks. Another message I would like to send is, I wouldn't be the teacher I am without the district, first of all, with all of their trainings that they provided me. I have learned so much just being an employee at this district. My message would be learning from other teachers, building upon, trying new things. There's so many things that this district has taught me I had never heard of before. One was a Florida Teacher of the Year, and it is a technique I use in my class today. So my message would be create that safe, loving learning environment, and your students will do anything for you. And if not just for you, for themselves, it would be my message.
Solomon Ortiz said, education is the key to success in life, and teachers make a lasting impact in the lives of their students. Congratulations and thank you for creating that safe, loving learning environment for your students. Mrs. Lucky, thank you for celebrating and bringing Ms. Balfe to our attention.
Absolutely.
Best wishes for the rest of this school year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yay.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
At this time, we want to welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show the wonderful Miss Errolyn, who is the fantastic Teacher of the Year at Lawnwood Elementary School. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, she's brought along the fantastic principal from Lawnwood, the wonderful Miss Felicia Nixon. Welcome, Miss Nixon.
Good to be here. Thank you, Dr. Perry.
It's great to have both of you here. And Miss Erin, again, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much.
We have a lot of people that are viewing, and we want them to learn more about teachers that represent the other fantastic teachers here in our school district. So let's tell them a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm a true legacy of teachers from the 60s, and I'm a retired teacher from Miami-Dade Public Schools of 38 years. I moved to Port St. Lucie in 2015, where I started my career over again at Lawnwood Elementary, and I was Teacher of the Year in 2016, 2017, and now I'm here back again, and I've been there for 5 years, and I'm just happy to be there.
Well, we're glad that you're here with us in St. Lucie Public, and congratulations again. Ms. Nixon, just in case someone who does not know the dynamic Ms. Nixon, introduce yourself for us.
Well, my name is Felicia Nixon, and I am an educator here in our great district, and I am the principal of Lawnwood Elementary, and I'm happy to serve the staff, students, and parents of my great school.
Great. Again, ladies, welcome to this celebration show.
Thank you.
We love having an opportunity to do this show because it gives us a chance to show our viewers, our supporters, some of the dynamic teachers that we have that represent all of us here in education. But Ms. Erin, you mentioned that you taught in Miami-Dade and then you found your home here with us here in St. Lucie Public Schools. But why did you choose teaching as a profession?
Well, I chose teaching as a profession because, like I said, I'm a legacy of, from far as my cousins, all went to Bethune, my mother, my two sisters, we all education, and now my daughter, who lives in Miami, has followed in my footsteps, and she's now a teacher as well.
And we need to get your daughter to move on up here too with us. So, if I were to visit your classroom every day, what would I see happening in your room?
When you walk in the door, you're going to see a lot of energy. I bring energy, and my children display energy. There's a lot of learning going on in the classroom, a lot of one-on-one learning, and a lot of interaction and engagement throughout the reading and curriculum which I teach, reading and writing.
Two questions that I want to follow up with. This is a very different time because of the pandemic. So it's made us all have to make some adjustments. When you think about your goals for this year during the pandemic, what are your goals this year for your students, for your classroom, for learning?
Well, my goals is that we need to understand that there is a different method of teaching, but all children still can learn under the circumstances. That there is a pandemic, but there also is a time for learning, just in a different model. It's just a different model. It's just a different model.
Okay, and a model that we need to embrace because I don't think it's going to ever go away. We're going to have some form of this kind of learning and teaching going on with everything that we do. But because of the pandemic, it forces us to communicate and collaborate with parents differently. How do you collaborate between the home and school to make sure that that facilitation occurs?
Well, I often reach out to my parents on a weekly basis to let them know that their kids are safe and that Longwood is a safe environment to bring your children to learn. And you have nothing to worry about. We are following all the protocols that are in place, and we do some additional protocols to make sure that our kids are getting the best that we have to offer during this time.
Great, great. So, Ms. Nixon, you get to experience that magic and watch it happen on a regular basis. So when you walk into Mrs. Aaron's class, what is it that you see, hear, and how does it make you feel?
Well, I'm always inspired when I visit Mrs. Aaron's class, and there is a high level of enthusiasm, and it starts with the leader, it starts with the teacher, and Mrs. Aaron knows how to motivate her students and inspire them, so the enthusiasm is high. I see a purpose-driven, goal-driven classroom wherein the kids are aware of the learning target, and they realize what they need to do in order to accomplish that particular learning goal. So there's a lot of energy in that classroom, always enthusiasm in that classroom, and lots of collaboration. Mrs. Aaron has the ability to connect her kids based upon their needs and based upon the instruction and what needs to happen in order for those students to meet those academic goals. So lots of collaboration. It's just a great learning environment.
So to be the teacher of the year, you're not a teacher that's confined to your classroom. You're engaged in a lot of the other things that help schools operate and work. What might we find Ms. Aaron doing to assist the total operation of your school?
Well, in regards to the total operation of the school, there are very few committees she's not on. She serves on our PBIS core team as a support, and she is also a leader in regards to getting all of the items for our PBIS store. Mrs. Aaron is truly resourceful. She knows how to reach out to community members and get all of those donations that we need for our students to recognize them for their PBIS accomplishments. She's also on our fair team, our display every year, because she's very creative. And she also serves on our MTSS team in regards to instruction and the implementation of that. She's a teacher mentor, and she mentors people that that are not even assigned to her. So when you think about the whole gamut, the entire school and her contributions to the school, her contributions are all over the school, even with our after-school program. She is an active participant in that, and she teaches in that, and she tutors students beyond school hours. So Mrs. Aaron is definitely involved in various aspects of school life at Longwood.
So, Ms. Aaron, you've had a long and storied career as an educator. What do you think has been your greatest impact?
My impact is when I see children come back and tell me that they are in a college, or they have, even the ones who you saw may struggle, that they got their GED, or they have got a trade. I know that somewhere down the line, in my class, I have done my job.
So there are many issues that are facing education and educators today. What do you think is one of the main issues that's facing education?
We need more parent involvement. I think if parents come around and be on board with what we're trying to do with their kids and make an impact as a team, we have to work as a team, and we will get better results. Ms. Nixon,
Yes.
Describe her for us using 3 adjectives.
Okay, 3 adjectives. Okay, definitely enthusiasm, engagement, I'm going beyond 3, relationship builder, definitely, and very motivational.
And why did you single out those?
Well, Mrs. Aaron knows how to build relationships with students, and she understands the importance of that, because we all know that no significant learning can take place without relationships. And we serve a Title I population, and it definitely is our responsibility as the educators to establish and maintain those relationships with the students and the staff and the parents. And Mrs. Aaron knows how to initiate those contacts and keep them involved. It's just not just a, a drive-through event. We have to maintain those relationships and also support parents as they track their students' progress and involve them in the process, where we have our student-led conferences. Every year, Mrs. Aaron has the highest participation rate for a student-led conference. Every year, every month we do the monthly reading challenge. For the month of November and December, 94% participation. We're always shooting for 100%, but 94% is very high. And that's because of her leadership, because of her enthusiasm and her ability to motivate her students and her parents.
So, Mrs. Aaron.
Yes.
As a Teacher of the Year for Longwood, and if you're selected as the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools, you are the educational ambassador. In that role, you'll be called to speak at many different events, possibly with the mayor, with commissioners. What would your message be about education?
Let's not leave no child behind.
No child left behind?
No child left behind.
Oh, great, great.
No matter how we have to do it, or the hours we have to spend, or the days or the months we have to put into invest in that child, we must do it.
Well, let me just leave you with these words. It says, what a teacher writes on the blackboard of life can never be erased. Thank you for what you're writing on the lives of those wonderful students at Longwood. Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. Ms. Nixon, thank you for celebrating and bringing Mrs. Aaron here with us to celebrate teachers and the Teacher of the Year. Congratulations again, ladies.
Thank you.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can, but one day, I could be a stadium.
At this time, we want to welcome to our celebration show for teachers, the wonderful Mr. Myron Varn, who's a teacher over at Southport Middle School. Welcome, Mr. Varn.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here, and congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year.
I'm very honored.
He's brought with him the proud principal over at Southport, Miss Nicole Talese. Talese, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Perry.
It is always an honor to have this chance to speak with teachers and to introduce some of our fantastic teachers to our viewers. I know you, but everyone doesn't. So if you just give us a little bit about your bio, your background, so that more of our viewers would know who you are, Mr. Varn.
I was born in Fort Pierce. I went in the Navy because I was too immature to really go into work. I'm glad that I did that. But I came back out of the Navy, and Mary Mosley helped guide me into starting out teaching, substitute teaching, to find out what grade level I'd be interested in. And I accidentally got stuck in a math classroom by Janelle Yost. And she forgot that I was a history major. And I've been a math teacher ever since.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, we appreciate their work. Ms. Talese, introduce yourself, please.
Yes, sure. Well, I've been in education for 19 years. I started my career in Palm Beach County, where I taught special education for 5 years. And then I came to St. Lucie County, where I landed at Southport Middle School as a special education teacher, and I've been blessed to be there ever since. I've been the ESC school-based specialist, the assistant principal, and now the principal for 7 years.
Great, great. So, Mr. Vaughn, a history major, teaching math, but apparently you're there because you still love it. So what's a typical day in your classroom like?
Well, the typical day, you greet them at the door. You try to notice facial expressions to see if anything's going on. You also want to notice the girls when they've changed their hair, the boys when they've grown an inch. They want to know that you actually see them and not just a
middle school.
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very important that there's a relationship. They come in. Right now they get the hand sanitizer. They do their little routine that they have, and we start the day with a bell ringer, and then we move into the lesson. We bring that bell ringer into anchoring in the past and then moving it toward the future. How is that going to impact what we're going to be learning today?
So let's just jump right into what we're dealing with today, meaning the pandemic. It has caused us all to function differently and possibly to think differently. What are your goals in this very different year for teaching and for learning?
Teaching is definitely recognizing that they have their issues at home, but using a little humor, but being persistent. You need your camera on. Dr. Wild says you need to have your camera on.
Blame it on Dr. Wild. Yes.
And he said, I insist that you have your camera on because I want to look at my kids. You're my class, and I want to engage with you, and I want to see what you're doing. I want to. So there's a little bit of humor and again commenting on them as people. They gradually become comfortable being in the classroom, and then once they're there and they're not ghosting anymore, then they can actually be there for a lesson where they can be taught.
So how do you, again, in this very different year, how do you facilitate collaboration between the home and school?
Communication. I try to communicate once a week with a blast email from Skyward, just in general, and I try to shout out the kids' names. They say, "Hey, so and so did great on this," and very often I'll get a parent call and say, "Well, why wasn't my kid mentioned?" Well, they could be, and what happens is that it's powerful in the mission. Because they want to be part of the ones called out. Then I try to send a postcard, at least one per child, throughout the year, and also try to call parents. If I had, and I tell my kids this, I say that I really don't like to call about a discipline problem. I really do like to call about something you did well. In fact, if I have to call about a discipline problem, I have to make 3 calls. Because otherwise I go home not feeling very well. I need to make that positive communication. Emails, specifically to parents. I do feel that they often need to hear my voice, and I'll tell them that. I said, you really need to hear my voice because I don't think that you're going to understand how I'm feeling right now, because you may misinterpret something that I write.
Yes.
So you need to hear me, and usually it ends up being a very positive conversation once that is done.
Great. So, Ms. Talise, you get to experience the magic every day.
I do. Share
with us what it is that you see, feel, hear when you visit Mr. Varn's class.
Well, you're always going to be engaged when you walk into Mr. Varn's class. Some of the things that he mentioned is very true. His humor and his caring nature is always at the forefront of what's going on. But you're going to see him and his students engaging with a variety of instructional technology. He's been one of our technology leaders on campus, so he's always using a smartboard or finding a new technology tool to get them engaged with. You're going to hear them discussing and dialoguing these difficult concepts. He really does try to challenge them to think about the math that they're doing and to talk about it. So you're going to hear a lot of discussion. You're also going to hear him, he's really been a champion for growth mindset. So you're always going to hear him talking to the students about trying to develop a growth mindset, trying to persevere through what they're challenged with, or leverage the mindset that he knows they already have. So this is a lot of what you're going to hear. There's always excitement, and you're always going to hear just a caring, kind relationship between the teacher and the students, but also him developing it between the students and the students, which is always really nice to see.
So describe him for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why you chose those 3.
Okay. I would say my top 3 would be caring, passionate, and dedicated. Caring, because that is Mr. Varn in a nutshell. He is all heart. He truly is the teacher who cares about every single student, whether they're a challenge or not. In fact, the more challenging they are, the more he cares. He works so hard to develop a relationship with every individual student and to get to know them. And then once he knows them, he knows exactly how to tackle, what they need. Passionate, because he loves teaching and learning. He loves math, which is funny that he said he came from history, but he loves math, and he knows how to make kids love math because he's so passionate about it. And then dedicated, he just works so hard. Often you think of veteran teachers, they might become complacent because they know everything, but that's not Mr. Varn. He is the first one to learn something new, and he's willing to do anything and everything for the betterment of his students and for the campus as a whole.
Mr. Varn, tell me, what do you think is one of the most pressing issues of education today?
I think that we're testing our kids into being very discouraged. If I had one thing that I could do in my classroom is to alleviate test anxiety, teaching test strategies. But we're weighing. A friend of mine said one time that you don't add fat to the calf by putting it on the scale. You add fat by feeding it, and we've lost a little bit of that. There's if I said one thing that we have as a nation, we're looking at proof that the kids are learning rather than the children actually discovering learning.
As a teacher, what do you find most rewarding?
Oh gosh, it's when they grow up to be good people. Because right now I've now been around long enough where I'm teaching kids that I taught before.
Join the crew. Yes.
And it's wonderful that when you have the relationship and that they're good people and they're good parents and they're living as really the Americans that you wanted them to be.
Great. So, Mrs. Talise, what makes Mr. Varn the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
I would say that it really is his heart that he has for students. Truly, he's the first one when we're discussing something to dig deep and commit to doing it. He'll question everything to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons, and then once we've come to the decision that we are and this is something good, he's going to put his effort in 100%, no matter what it takes, if it's going to be something that makes the students learn more or grow more or do better.
So, Mr. Varn, as the Teacher of the Year, you become the educational ambassador. Mm-hmm. If you had an opportunity to speak to power brokers, decision makers, what would your message be?
Build relationships. Build relationships with the children, build relationships with their parents, build relations with the teachers you work with. Because the kids see that. They see that you care about your coworkers, that you respect your coworkers, you respect their parents, and it strengthens the bond that you have. It's a trust bond that is built on relationship.
Well, Brad Henry said, "A good teacher inspires hope, ignites the imagination, and instills a love of learning." Thank you for instilling a love of learning in your math students as a person who loves history but really loves math. And congratulations on your selection as a Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Leese, Mr. Varn, for joining us. And
Thank
again,
you
congratulations.
So much. Wonderful.
That's low. That's low.
Joining us at this time is the wonderful Miss Julia Viciere, who's the dynamic Teacher of the Year over at Del Casson Education Complex. Congratulations and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
She's brought along with her fantastic principal, Miss Ellen Harden. Miss Harden, welcome back.
Thank you.
Ladies, Happy New Year. And again, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. Many of our viewers want to meet some of the fantastic teachers that we have here in our district. So would you briefly give them a little bit about your background?
Sure. I initially started in special education with my undergrad and then switched to clinical mental health. From there, I went into law enforcement where I worked with Fort Pierce Police Department. I'm still a reserve officer with them as well. I did that for a couple years and then transitioned back into education.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. And Ms. Harden, just in case, would you introduce yourself?
Ellen Harden. I am the principal of Dale Casson's Education Complex. We've opened up the elementary program Pride, which has been a few years now. I also am the principal for the detention center in St. Lucie Regional Detention Center and Data House Hayslip Center. So we are K-12 and we are very well rounded. I've been a principal for a long time, since 2004, and I've been an educator since 1987.
Welcome, welcome again, ladies, and congratulations. So, Ms. Viciere, why did you choose teaching as a profession?
I truly enjoy helping children that people in a sense have either bypassed or given up on. I feel like every child has a purpose. We all have a purpose, you know, here and on earth, and I truly feel like the most rewarding thing I can do is to try to help find that child's purpose with them and to see that into fruition.
In this very different year, being at Del Casson and wanting to help students that may have been forgotten, what are your goals for this year?
To try to provide that sense of normalcy for them that is kind of missing from this year. Also to provide that emotional support that they may need due to either home changes or COVID, anything that this year has brought to us. I mean, last year was a hard, difficult year for many of us. And I think children have really been affected by it as well. So my goal is to be consistent with my students, provide that open line of communication and support and a listening ear.
So describe for us a typical day in your classroom.
Every day is different. I keep the same routine with my students, but every day poses different challenges, different opportunities. But every day when I welcome them to my classroom, we do a bell ringer, we talk about the bell ring, we share our responses with it, and then we go on to the academic side of it, and then we wrap class up with an exit ticket. And that could be either related to the material at hand or something previously learned.
So, Mrs. Harden, you have the opportunity to experience this magic happening in Ms. Viciere's class every day. When you visit, what is it that you see? What is it that you hear? And how does it make you feel?
Julia Viciere is a dynamic teacher. She was a born leader. She's a natural teacher, and I'm very thankful to have her as part of our family. She's also in our leadership team. She is my leader of that program that we have. I see in her classroom children wearing masks and socially distancing, but I see them engaged, very engaged. Even today, first day back, she was working virtually with a student because our teachers teach both. We have sections that are live and sections that are virtual. And she was working with a student, and this was a very difficult child to reach and engage. And she was using her voice, her tone, her heart, reading to the child, engaging the child. She was using technology. Let me show you this, look at this. When I see that virtually, I can extend that into the classroom with live students as well. She's teaching 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, multiple ages. So there's a lot of diversity, a lot of students working on a project. She's working with another student, and then they switch in that time frame. So you'll see a lot of engaging strategies to keep them on task, a lot of monitoring, and making sure that they are where they're supposed to be doing what they're supposed to do, all with heart.
Describe her then using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3.
I like this one. And I searched for this. I put a lot of time and thought into it. I want to say calm. She is calm even in the most stormy of storms. She is firm. The kids love her. She is one of the favorite teachers, even though she is firm, she is tough, she holds them accountable, but she is firm. The last one is understanding. She understands the background of the children, she understands why they behave the way they do, and she is there for them no matter what.
So today, Miss Viciere, the education is going through some changes. There are many issues that plague us. What do you see as the most pressing issue for education?
I think addressing the child and as a whole. We can't just look at academic scores and test scores. We have to look at the child's emotional needs, social needs, home life. That is the foundation for how the child's going to learn. So I think we need to take a step back and really look at the whole child and approach the whole child, what their likes are, their strengths, what triggers them. That needs to be a huge focus in our education world, especially since our children's needs are in this society are becoming greater.
So as an educator, what do you find most rewarding?
Seeing that light bulb moment, as cliche as it is, especially with the population that we work with, when you see something click and them actually apply what you're trying to teach them, whether it's academically or even employment-wise, or a goal of theirs, to see that actually click and then follow through with it, is so rewarding.
So how do you measure student success?
In various ways. I don't think there's one set way. I think each student has a different way. Some students are very strong with academics, and so that's easily seen through test scores and through their grades. Now, with other students where academics are not their strong suit, I would say that you can see that in their behavior when you see that change, the success when they come back and told you, you know, you really helped me get through this moment in my life. Or, you know, I was able to apply what you taught me over the weekend when I was doing X, Y, Z. Seeing them actually apply that and come back to you and tell you, you know, you're the one that helped me with this, is a great way to see that what you're doing is working.
So, Mrs. Harden, what makes Ms. Viciere the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Teacher of the Year this year is going to be one of those years that everybody's going to remember for having to adapt and change and roll with it. And I think that Julie Viciere can do all of those things with one arm tied behind her back. She is able to look and discern what's the most important thing to happen for that child in that moment, adapt on the fly, and run with it. And I think that what she says with her heart and what she believes, how she walks and talks herself, is what we need to see as Teacher of the Year this year. We need to see that it is about heart, it is about SEL, it is about content, it's holding the kids accountable, but also having the heart to help them when they're at their worst. And I think she does that.
Ms. Viciere, this author is unknown, but he said, a teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. Thank you for leading with your heart, and thank you for the work that you're doing every day, and congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I come from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6. To me, being the first person to go to college, it's like setting a standard, you know? My little brother is 8 years old now. I challenge his curiosity. I challenge him to dream. I have to paint a picture for him that he can look up to and live up to and possibly be better than. My name is Jaquez, and I am your dividend.
At this time, we want to welcome to this fantastic Teacher of the Year celebration show, the wonderful Miss Sarah Amada from Fort Pierce Central High School. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, and congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. What a great honor.
Thank you.
She's brought along with her the proud principal of Fort Pierce Central High School, Ms. Mona Ray Buchanan. Ms. Buchanan, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It is again a pleasure to have both of you ladies with us as we celebrate teachers and teaching here in St. Lucie Public Schools. But just in case some of our awesome viewers don't know who you are, give us a little bit about your background, Ms. Amada.
Well, my name is Sarah Amada, and I was born and raised in a very small town in Connecticut. I went to the University of Hartford and graduated with a bachelor's degree in elementary education. And then I wanted a little change of scenery, so I moved to Philadelphia, where I taught in a wonderful K-8 there. I loved it. I got my master's degree in education with a reading specialist certification. And then on a whim with my best friend from childhood, we moved to Florida, which I thought was going to be just a year of fun, but that was 2009 because I met my husband. So I'm still here.
So you're still having fun.
Yes. And I was teaching in Palm Beach County. I loved it. And then after a few years of teaching there, I was invited to leave the classroom and be an instructional coach, which I very much enjoyed. And I earned a second master's in ed leadership. And then my husband and I, in 2017, relocated to St. Lucie County, and I have the joy of now teaching at Fort Pierce Central.
Welcome to St. Lucie County. We're so glad you came home.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Buchanan, some of our viewers may not know the wonderful Ms. Monterey Buchanan. Introduce yourself, please.
I am the proud principal of Fort Pierce Central High School, and I have been in this county. I have been here now for 16 years from New York City, and started as a guidance counselor at Treasure Coast High School, and then went over to Westwood as a counselor, former principal of Forest Grove Middle School. I was the assistant principal, I'm like jumping around, but assistant principal at Centennial. So I've worked on different levels, various schools, and I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Great, great. Again, ladies, welcome to the show. So, Ms. Amada, why did you choose teaching as a profession?
I think my friends and family tease me about my teacher voice. I've always had the teacher voice. You know, I'm the older sibling, I'm the older cousin. I always helped out with the younger students in dance class, and I went into college that first semester as a history major because I love history. And then I saw some of my friends who were elementary ed majors, and I saw all of the activities they were doing, and I said, that seems more up my alley. So I kept the U.S. history, but also added the elementary ed, and haven't looked back since. I started my teaching career right when I was 22, and still at it.
So what would a typical day in your classroom look like?
Well, this year obviously is very different than any previous year, but with my face-to-face students, we greet them at the door, they come in, there's a bell ringer, a task for them to do right away. And during that time, I get to engage with each student individually, check and see how they're doing for the day. And then I follow the gradual release model of where I am doing, where I am modeling, we are doing collaborative work, and then the students get some independent practice at the end of each period. Again, so I can check in and see what we might need to tweak or revisit for the following class.
A very different year for us, very different year. So with that, we have to make an adjustment to what we plan, what we expect, to our goals. What are your goals for teaching and for learning in this year of the pandemic? How are they different? How did the pandemic affect your goals?
I think the goals are the same. How I deliver is completely different. You know, when you walked in, you used to come in, you grab your whiteboard, we're sharing, we're getting up, we're moving. That's all changed. So the delivery method has changed, but the goals of student success haven't changed. U.S. history is such an important subject. I'm very passionate about it because it not only makes us better citizens, but also it is a high stakes class because we do have an end of course exam that we need to prepare our students for. It is a graduation requirement, and I always joke that I'm a reading teacher who teaches U.S. history because those reading skills that we learn throughout the history class, I hope that they apply to all of their other classes as well.
Okay, Ms. Buchanan. Yes. You get to see the magic happen in Mrs. Amada's class on a regular basis. So when you visit, help us understand what you see, what you hear, and how you feel.
Here's where I have to say, like, a congratulations and just celebrating Miss Amada, because yes, we know COVID, the pandemic, has changed the dynamics of everything around us. However, here we have a teacher who has adjusted, who understands what it takes for every student, no matter their ability, to be successful. Whether she has students online or has students in front of her, she has developed strategies and just really engage in techniques to still get them engaged. So you go from a classroom that was already exciting, already engaging, already student focused, where you have a teacher who's passionate about what she teaches, to still having that classroom, and even more with the implementation of technology to a greater level. And the fact that each student can now, I guess, showcase their different skills, because she doesn't take that out. She finds that strength, she builds on it, and even during a year like this, she knows how to keep her students excited about learning, especially in a tested area like US history. So it's pretty amazing.
So describe her for us using 3 adjectives, and tell us why you chose those 3 to describe Mrs.
Absolutely. I'm going to start with student focused. Why? Miss Armada is the teacher that it doesn't matter who's in front of her, what type of student. And I say that from every level. No matter the background, no matter what knowledge they're bringing to the class, she is the teacher that can motivate a student to reach their potential and go above it. That whole student focus where she knows her kids, knows their abilities, and she knows how to get them loving US history, loving learning. That's what she's about. Committed, oh my. Committed in the sense that on a regular basis, she is one of the leaders in the collaborative team for US history, and they're planning ahead of time for the year ahead, coming over the summer, making sure that they have everything ready, even sharing what they're doing with the rest of the district. So everyone's prepared, especially a year like this. They planned over the summer, planned their lessons in Canvas, planned for the things that you wouldn't imagine happening. So already thinking ahead, they did that voluntarily, knowing that they have to get ready for this year. So that commitment, it goes beyond the classroom. It's about making sure, you know, that saying you're as strong as your weakest link, no such thing in Amada's department. Everyone's strong, everyone works together because they're proud of what they do, and they're all about the commitment to the students first, the kids. The kids are priority for sure. The students, the staff, by helping other staff, and also St. Lucie County and whomever wants their help. And then we have to talk about that passion. Because personally, when I walk into her class, the first time I walked into her class last year, I truly went in for an informal, and I did not want to leave. Like, I was absolutely thinking to myself, we should record this lady and just send her, like, how she does quality teaching to everyone. Like, it was that amazing. And since that day, and I can assure you of this now, the feedback from the students, even in an informal conversation at lunchtime with kids, so how do you like Miss Amada's class? And they would say, oh, she's the best teacher, it's amazing. And it's because she brings that passion with her. You can tell that she loves what she's teaching. And that to me is just amazing.
So to be the teacher of the year, we know that that person is involved in other aspects of the campus. What else might we find Ms. Amada doing to help the school work?
Well, a huge part of it, it's really sharing that cross-curricular, I would say, articulation, where they are sharing what they know with the 12th grade teachers, the 11th grade teachers, and also going beyond the confines of the classroom and the school, sharing with others in the district what they're working on and how they have done such an amazing job, and she has specifically done such an amazing job in regards to getting those results and getting kids to own it. That's really, Miss Armada is about that teamwork, getting people involved, like going above and beyond with planning, outside of her work hours, staying with students, helping them to reach the goals that they have set forward. She is that type of teacher.
So Mrs. Buchanan, with everything that you have shared with us about her, what you see in her classroom, how you would describe her, what makes her the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Miss Armada specifically is the exemplar of this is quality teaching in a classroom where I am dedicated to ensuring that every student learns. But because she's an exemplar, You can learn so much, even as a leader, learn so much from how she teaches, learn so much about how she gets students learning and achieving. And she stands as that example, and I believe we shouldn't just take her off for ourselves at Fort Pierce Central. We really shouldn't. We should share her talents with others, and she's not afraid to do that, and she does that well. That's what makes her really, really awesome, because that humility is there as well, where people want to work with her and people enjoy working with her, and students, I know she believes in students, but students begin to believe in themselves. And I believe that's really huge. That's what makes her our Fort Pierce Central Teacher of the Year of the Decade. Because for us, she is our exemplar. And she is someone that is just someone who could teach others how to fall in love with teaching, how to fall in love even during a pandemic year, with the fact that any child can learn if given the opportunity to learn, if equipped with the knowledge and skills to be successful. That whole alignment to our St. Lucie County, mission and vision, that's who she is. That's what you see every single day, without a doubt.
So, Ms. Amada, we know and understand that this year will go down in history, one that we will all remember. So, you could possibly be the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools. And as the ambassador of education for Fort Pierce Central High School, possibly St. Lucie Public Schools, you'll have an opportunity to speak with decision makers. What would your message be?
I think as challenging as this year has been, from March to now, there are many things that I am so grateful for. The increased focus on putting technology in the classroom is phenomenal, making sure that our students have access to technology at home. Now with Teams, our students can contact us through a variety of different means at a variety of different times. We're offering tutorial for students while they're sitting at home. Students might have missed the opportunity to stay for tutoring if they had to go home and babysit a younger brother or sister. They can now join us via Teams and get the extra support that they need. But this is all happening through a collaboration of all the stakeholders. That was my big takeaway from March, is that, when we transitioned to a remote learning, it was all hands on deck. It was parents, teachers, guidance counselors, administration, and it was putting out feelers to make sure that all students were accounted for. If I couldn't find a student, reaching out to my colleague, reaching out to my administrator, trying to get a hold of a parent, and just making sure that the students have everything that they need to be successful. And this year, whether they chose to come back face-to-face or if they're choosing to stay home and learn remotely, do they have the tools that they need to be successful? And it cannot be one person. It has to be all of the stakeholders working together to make sure that the students have what they need.
Well, Charles Kuralt told us, good teachers know how to bring out the best in students. It's evident that you're bringing out the best in students, even if those students are adult learners as well. Mm-hmm. So congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Fort Pierce Central High School. Ms. Buchanan, thank you for joining us. Ladies, it's been a pleasure, and enjoy the rest of this school year, making a difference in the lives of those awesome students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
When it comes to saving money,
What? Perry!
don't act like a baby.
Oh, it's like they're having their own little meeting. This is so humiliating.
Be the boss.
I'm the boss.
What the?
Power nap. You were saying.
And make a budget.
Let's get to work.
Need a little help?
Stacy, read back the notes.
I can't read. What's it say?
Create a personalized savings plan and get other tools and tips
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
at feedthepig.org.
At this time, we want to welcome to this awesome show where we celebrate teachers and Teachers of the Year, the wonderful Miss Robin Church, who's the Teacher of the Year from the Creative Arts Academy of St. Lucie, better known to us as CAS. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much.
The proud principal of CAS is Dr. Lori Reed, and she's joining us tonight as well. Dr. Reed, welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yes, ladies, it is a pleasure to have an opportunity to speak with both of you about teaching and learning at CAS as we celebrate Teachers of the Year who represent all of the wonderful teachers that we have here in St. Lucie Public Schools. Just in case some of our viewers don't know who the awesome Ms. Robin Church is, would you kind of give us a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. My name is Robin Church. This is my 20th year. I started teaching in August of 2000 with St. Lucie County Schools. I am a proud graduate of Fort Pierce Central High School.
Go Cobras.
Yeah, absolutely. Once a Cobra, always a Cobra. Grew up throughout the St. Lucie County School District. Went to Palm Beach Atlantic University and graduated with my degree in education from Florida Atlantic.
Go out. Yes. Welcome. Dr. Reed, introduce yourself.
Well, I've been in education since '93. I have been the principal of Creative Arts Academy since it opened for the past 3 years. Prior to that, principal of Fort Pierce Magnet School of the Arts and principal of Bayshore Elementary. So I've been in St. Lucie County since 2004.
Again, ladies, welcome. So, what made you decide to be a teacher, to choose the teaching profession?
Oh my goodness, it's such a crazy story, actually. I actually come from a family of educators. My grandmother was a college professor and taught she was the women's basketball coach at the college. My grandfather was a principal at an elementary school in Georgia. My dad was also a teacher there for a while. So it's always been in my blood. Surprisingly though, my love was always science, and college found me going a different path. I was actually trying to pursue a career in marine biology, and I ended up as an environmental educator at what used to be called Dreher Park Zoo. It's now Palm Beach Zoo. So I realized after about 2.5 years that I love science and I love nature. I love being able to teach children about that, but I only had my students for 25 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. So at that time I realized I could have a far greater impact on have far greater of an impact on 25 students for 180 days versus 180 students a day for 25 minutes.
Well, we're so glad that you chose teaching.
Thank you.
So, this is a very different year. How has the pandemic and COVID affected your goals for teaching and for learning?
Well, my students still have the same expectations as in terms of learning, but I think there's a huge shift in making sure that my students feel connected. I always say that my goal is for them to feel connected in sort of this disconnected environment that we're in. So my overall goal is to make sure that they feel safe and that they feel like they are still part of our classroom and our school.
So, how do you facilitate collaboration during this time between school and home?
That's all day. From the time we log in. Collaboration, it looks a little bit different online because I am the virtual my school teacher for 4th grade. And we start in the very beginning of the day. I always do check-ins with my students. We do some silly things, you know, we have music and different songs and dances that kind of break up the day. But I feel like my classroom is actually a lot larger. Mm-hmm. I say that my classroom doesn't have walls. My classroom is actually made up of each of these different satellite campuses, is what I call them. So at any given time, I could have 11 students in my classroom. I could have, at the beginning of the year, I think I had 22 students in my classroom, but it wasn't just them. It was also their younger siblings and their different family members that were in the environment as well. So we collaborate a lot with the families as well as the students.
So Dr. Reed, you get to see the magic happen every day. What is it that you see, hear, and or feel when you visit this church class?
I definitely feel a sense of community and warmth when I go into her classroom. So this year, she, as she had said, she is our 4th grade my school teacher, and the first moment I walked into her room, preschool, I think it was the day before school started, I walked in and it brought tears to my eyes because she had completed her classroom, she set it all up, and then she put pictures of all of her students on the desks so that she had that connection with them and they had the connection with her, which it chokes me up even now when I think about how she cares about her students. And she just reiterated, she just had said, you know, they do some silly things in the morning, but it's very focused for her. She's looking at the social, emotional well-being of her students first and foremost every single day. And then, you know, structure within her classroom. And every time I go into her room now to visit, she's in a different spot. So she's not just sitting behind a desk, you know, with a board behind her. She's really moving around. Last year, I found her on the farm. They did a virtual field trip as well. So she's very creative, and I see absolutely fabulous things in her classroom.
So, describe her, please, using 3 adjectives, and tell us why you chose those 3.
Oh, okay. Creative, because she is very creative in everything that she does. Like I said, she virtual field trips that she does with her students, and incorporating her families into her classroom. Collaborative, because she is so intricate in many things that we do throughout the school, different committees, collaborates with her team, other teams. And I would probably say caring, because she cares about everyone, not just in our school, in our community as well. She really reaches out. She's worked on many things that really bring people into our school, even as part of our recruitment team, to get parents and families in and really working with our families.
Creative, collaborative, and caring. When you think about those 3 descriptors that Dr. Reed gave us about you, what do you think is your greatest impact because of those 3?
My greatest impact, I would have to say, is my connections with my students and their families. I always tell them once they are part of my classroom, once they're part of our family, they're part of my family forever. So it doesn't matter if they're in my class for one day or all year long, they will always be one of my children.
One of my kids, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So what do you consider to be a major public education issue today?
Oh, wow. I think one of the things that I see now is we need to make sure that we take care of ourselves, especially in this time with the pandemic and teaching in the pandemic. My husband always uses this analogy of being on the airplane, and when the oxygen masks fall, you know how they always tell you, put it on yourself first before you put it on somebody else. So it's kind of that we need to take care of ourselves. And I think that's a big issue, because teachers are so giving and caring, and they have so much empathy for their students and their students' families. And I think that is tenfold now, just making sure that our students are taken care of and that they are getting through this okay and with the support that they need. So I think it's important that we also take care of ourselves.
Dr. Reed, what makes Mrs. Church the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Everything that she does for her students, for our school, and for the community. And she is a leader in all of those. So in her classroom, you're going to see wonderful things, but you'll also see her providing professional development. So currently, she was helping support professional development for our school on virtual engagement and working with teachers on that. She is our teacher, our Canvas lead teacher and technology lead teacher. So, you know, getting started this year had some hiccups to it with Canvas and all of the programs, and she was able to help multiple teachers. So she is always willing to help everyone. Volunteering for activities that we have, bringing her family in. You know, when she talks about her husband, he is part of our family as well. And her children are as well. So, you know, her impact moves beyond her 4 walls, her virtual walls. It moves beyond our school building, and it moves out within the community. And she also collaborates with Bacchus Art Gallery as well. She's our lead for that. in Rotary Club. I mean, I can go on all night long.
Well, to be the teacher of the year, we know that those persons get out of the confines of their four walls
she does.
and affect the total operation of the school. And with that thought in mind, as the teacher of the year for Cass, you could possibly become the teacher of the year for St. Lucie Public Schools. In your role, you become the education ambassador. May have an opportunity to speak to policymakers, decision makers. What would your message be?
Right now, I think my message would be kind, be patient, be flexible, and goes back to our leader in me. One of our principles in Leader in Me is seek first to understand before being understood. I think in order to be a good leader, you need to listen twice as much as you speak.
Henry Adams left us with these words. He said, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops. Thank you for making sure that you influence the beautiful lives of your students and the entire campus at Cass." Congratulations again on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. Dr. Reed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we wish you both much success at the Creative Arts Academy of St. Lucie.
Thank you so very much.
Joining us now as we celebrate teachers on this wonderful Teacher of the Year show is Miss Tricia Jones, who is the awesome Teacher of the Year over at Francis K. Sweet Elementary Magnet School. Ms. Jones, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year at Sweet.
Thank you, I'm honored.
Great. She's brought along with her the very proud principal of Francis K. Sweet, Dejon Jackson. Ms. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the welcome. Glad to be here.
Great. Ladies, it is always a privilege and an honor for us to celebrate teachers, but to also introduce some of our wonderful teachers to our viewers that are so supportive of the work that we do here in St. Lucie Public Schools. But I'm sure the wonderful staff at Sweet knows who you are, your students and your parents. But just in case we have some viewers who have tuned in, give us a little bit about your background, Mrs. Jones.
Okay, I graduated from FAU with my bachelor's in education. It's actually my second career. I was a cake decorator for Publix for total almost 19 years because I attended school while working. But I've only had the opportunity to work at two schools. I was at Savannah Ridge Elementary. Barbara Kelly hired me. And then I was there for 12 years between first and third. And then I was hired on at Francis K. Sweet, and I've been there 6 years now. And again, first and third.
Great, great, great. Oh, so that means there's some wonderful cakes that pop up at Francis K. Sweet every now and then.
Well, not recently, but yes.
Great, great. Ms. Jackson, introduce yourself to our viewers, please.
Well, hello, I'm Dejon Jackson, proud principal of Francis K. Sweet Magnet School, where Patty is the recognized stellar star. I am a proud community member of St. Lucie County. I have had a chance to go through school K through 11th grade in St. Lucie County, in elementary school to high school. Then I moved to Miami for a short stint. Graduated from Miami Norland Senior High, then continued education, being pushed by a family, and graduated from FAU as well. So we had that together with graduating master's, FAU, and ed leadership, and have worked in many schools in St. Lucie County. Most recently, Francis K. Sweet Magnet School. Prior to that, Savannah Ridge. Even though we weren't there together, we have had a chance to cross paths at Savannah Ridge, Lawnwood Elementary, and others. So I'm just grateful to be here and a community member in St. Lucie County.
Well, that means all three of us are graduates of Florida Atlantic University. Go Owls, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly.
So, Mrs. Jones, tell us why you chose teaching as a profession.
Like I said, I was a cake decorator for many years. Being in retail, being married, a small child, I was always at work on the weekend, holidays. Teaching had always been on my radar, but nobody in my family had actually ever graduated college. So I thought, let me give it a try. And so my reasoning for going in evolved from more time with my family and more involved with my child's education to, oh my God, this is where I'm meant to be. I love it. It's my happy place when I'm in there with the kiddos.
So let's just jump right in. We know that this is a very historic time in education. It will go down in history. We'll always remember this school year and what has occurred because of the pandemic. How are your goals different, or what might you be doing differently for students today as it relates to teaching and learning?
Definitely taking a look at their social, emotional well-being when they come in. Have they eaten? Because we know the economy has taken its toll as well.
Very much. Yes.
Have they eaten? Did they rest last night? Definitely doing like some time in the morning to just make sure that we're all feeling good and ready to go to work. And small group has been much smaller and a little further apart, but we have still been able to incorporate a little bit of that because I do feel they need that, what's the word I'm looking for?
Connection.
Connections and interaction, yes.
So let's stay in with that theme in mind. We always collaborate with our families, but how do we facilitate collaboration between the home and school during this time?
That's something that I've always struggled with. My Barbara Kelly, I always remember, she's like, what are you doing back there, painting the building? Because I would always be the last one to leave. I've definitely got better with managing, but the time in the classroom, I've always tried to devote that to the kids. And then grading papers and things like that, it's a breeze to do like while I'm watching TV. My children are grown now, so just me and my husband, 30 plus years. He's watching his thing, doing his thing, I'm doing my school thing. I call it my school thing. I'm gonna go to the bedroom and do my school thing.
So, Ms. Jackson, you get an opportunity to see the magic happen every day at Sweet in Mrs. Jones' class. Tell us, what is it that you may see, hear, or how does it make you feel when you visit her class?
When I visit Patty's classroom, it is a family. When you walk in, the kids are so respectful of one another, respectful of Mrs. Jones. They are caring about one another. They ask, like, how are you doing? Hey, what happened? Did you see this? There's just a family feel. They make sure they look out for one another. Breakfast time is in the classroom with all of the kids, and they're checking in and making sure that they're ready to learn. And that extends wherever they are on campus. The looking out for one another, and it's almost like that mother duck with all the ducklings that kind of follow along, because wherever they go, they care for one another, they make sure that they're all taken care of, and that comes from Ms. Jones making sure that they're ready to go, ready to learn.
So, describe her then, using 3 adjectives, and tell us why you've chosen those 3.
The first is loving. Patty absolutely loves children. She loves and cares for her team. That love shows in every action she does. In addition to that, she is just such a sponge that is thirsty for knowledge, to make sure that she shares that. So she's not one who's just going to absorb and keep it in. She's sharing that with others. So usually you don't hear an adjective as a sponge, but that sponge is making sure that the thirst for knowledge is going out. And lastly, that energy that is so apparent with Patty just trickles through in everything she does. That bundle of energy allows her to be able to keep everybody moving and everybody motivated.
So, in the time that you have been a teacher, we know it's always a great honor to be selected by your peers to be the Teacher of the Year. But when you think about the time that you have been teaching, what have you found to be most rewarding?
The most rewarding, I would have to say the relationships that I have built and kept in contact with. I go to graduations. I've been to a lot of high school graduations from students I had in first grade, third grade, going to horseback dance recitals, and just watching them grow and seeing them be successful.
So, Ms. Jackson, what makes Mrs. Jones the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Mrs. Jones is the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year because she is the epitome of an educator that goes beyond the curriculum. She talked about the relationships that have been established and that continue on. When Mrs. Jones was selected as Teacher of the Year, she had reached out to parents and others and colleagues, congratulated her. And there was one parent who wrote a letter that described how Mrs. Jones had touched her son's life, and it went beyond the reading, writing, and arithmetic. It went to the heart of education. And her son, who has special needs, was really motivated to continue his learning and continue to push and strive and reach those goals. And that spark happened in that classroom where the parent had reached out to us to say, hey, what can I do to recognize this wonderful lady? Because she made a difference not only in my life, but in my son's life, where now as an adult, he feels he can accomplish great things. And that happened because of Mrs. Jones. So because of that, she is selected as Teacher of the Year, not just in our eyes, but in everyone's eyes. So congratulations, Patty, because you're so deserving of this honor.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Jones, you're the Teacher of the Year for Francis K. Sweet Elementary Magnet School. You have become the educational ambassador for that site. You may be called upon to speak to some visitors, some guests, some parents, possibly decision makers. What would your message be?
A couple of things. One, children have to know that you believe in them. I mean, you got to believe in them. They have to know that someone cares. I always say they don't know how much you know until they know how much you care. Once you've established that. And another thing I would love to sit down with lawmakers and politicians and who's making the decisions from a teacher's point of view and just say, you know, we really need to look at funding and we really need to look at educational quality and in preschool and K-1, because I feel like those are those building blocks. And I think sometimes if we invested more there, that we would see the payoff.
Well, let me leave you with the words of Alexander the Great when he said, I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well. Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. Ms. Jackson, thank you for joining us, and we wish you all great success for the rest of this coming year.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. It's definitely an honor.
Yes.
So we were walking to school. I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really
smart.
want cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Joining us now at our show is the wonderful Miss Mimi Hoffman, Teacher of the Year for Fort Pierce Westwood Academy. Congratulations and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
And joining Mrs. Hoffman and I is the proud principal, Mr. Joseph Lazo from Fort Pierce Westwood Academy. Again, Mr. Lazo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Perry.
It is always a privilege and honor to have this chance to speak with teachers and to celebrate the wonderful work that you do every day for our students and making our community better. Many of us know you. You have a storied career here in St. Lucie Public Schools. But just in case somebody's watching that does not know who the awesome Mimi Hoffman is, give us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in Fort Pierce, and I went to St. Lucie County Public Schools. I graduated from Westwood, so I'm very excited to have the opportunity to work there as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Lazo. I attended college at Hollins College and then the University of Georgia, where I graduated from, and go Dogs. And then I got my master's degree at Florida State, and then later also got my certification in Ed Leadership at FAU.
Great, great. Once the Panther?
Always the Panther.
Always the Panther. Mr. Lazo, just in case some of our viewers don't know who the wonderful Joseph Lazo is, give us a little bit about your background as well.
Absolutely. I am now a proud graduate of St. Lucie Public Schools. I graduated from Port St. Lucie High School. I am here now. This is my 18th year in St. Lucie Public Schools. Started as a paraprofessional. Now I am the proud principal of Fort Pierce Westwood Academy. I've been a resident of St. Lucie County now for over 25 years. This is my home. Glad to be here.
And it's a pleasure to have both of you joining us as we celebrate teachers and all that our wonderful teachers do every day for our community and our students.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Hoffman,
yes.
Tell us, why did you choose teaching as a profession?
Well, it wasn't really my first choice. Growing up, I was one of those people that, of course, liked to be the little teacher with my younger brothers and my cousins and everything. And when I went to college, that's what I thought I was going to do. But, college classes, they got a lot of things to choose from. And I got distracted by various things, including psychology. So I got a bachelor's degree in psychology, but I really didn't know what I was going to do after that. So not education, I went to law school. And after about 3 months in law school, I figured this is not what I want to do. And I thought, I had always wanted to be a teacher. That's really where I want to be, and pursue that. So I switched into the master's program for elementary education and finished that, and that was definitely the best move I've ever made.
So tell us, what are you teaching over at Westwood?
At Westwood, I am working with the seniors who have not yet met the graduation requirement in reading. So we do basically a lot of test prep for ACT, SAT, FSA to make sure that they will be able to get a diploma when they walk across the stage.
So I'm going to jump right in because we know that this is a very historic year and time that we're living in. What's different about what happens in your classroom because of the times that we're in?
Well, as I have both live and virtual classes, so that has been a learning experience for me, the virtual. The live classes, we basically curriculum-wise do the same things that we've done, but there's still a lot of the social and emotional things to work on with the students. With the virtual students, same sort of thing, but trying to adapt the curriculum for them using technology and trying to prepare them for the test, through the computer. But I did offer after-school tutoring for those students to be able to come in, and several of them took advantage of that so that we could actually practice, one-on-one or, with paper pencil testing, because that's the type of test they have to take, and just finding different ways, creative ways, with technology to help them prepare for the test.
So to be the teacher of 12th grade students that are being prepped for the reading portion of the test that they must pass, it takes a different kind of person. Let me just ask, how do your students genuinely know that you care about them and their success?
Well, I tried to build positive relationships with them from the very start, and I think that just by They come very concerned about graduation, obviously, because, growing kindergarten through 11th, graduation is just kind of like a given. And now all of a sudden, they're seniors and it might not happen. So, I have to start out building their self-esteem for a lot of them. And that, yes, you can do this, you can do this. I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you. Don't make me cry when I start to talk about these things. Because there are so many that just, they just want to give up. I hear, I'm going to drop out, constantly. So just trying to build that rapport with them and positive relationship. For the ones that are on athletic, things, I go to their events to support them too. I'm there on test days with snacks and to, give them that little motivation as well. Just before we were offering tests at Westwood, I was, picking up kids, taking them to the test, giving them that little last-minute pep talk. It's just, it can be a very emotional year, especially when you have to tell a student that they didn't pass the test. And then it's just, it can be very, very emotional.
Above and beyond the call of duty, teachers that go out of their way, but isn't that what Teachers of the Year do?
No, I guess so.
Yes, sir. Yes. Mr. Lazo, you have the opportunity, the pleasure of watching the magic happen in that classroom every day. What is it that you see here, and how does it make you feel when you visit this classroom?
Well, Ms. Hoffman and I were colleagues before at another school. Now, she came to me 5 years ago. She said, Ms. Lazo, I'm looking for a career change. I want to come back to my alma mater and really help our students at Westwood. And I said, absolutely, let me, what do you need me to do? You have it. She says, I want to teach the seniors so that I can ensure that they earn their diploma. And she's done that. You asked me, Dr. Perry, the opportunity that I have to see her in her classroom. I see magic taking place. I see passion. I see commitment. I see a mother who is trying to do whatever it takes to get her children across the finish line. And that finish line, as we like to call it, is graduation day, where students are earning their diploma in hand. And that's what she does each and every day when she comes on our campus at West Prep.
So, describe her then, using 3 adjectives, and tell us why you've chosen those 3.
First of all, Dr. Perry, 3 is the limit. You're limiting me right now. You are limiting me.
I know.
I cannot opeate in this
We
but
have
I
to.
will try. I will try.
Please.
First one I can think of right now is organization. Mrs. Hoffman is also our senior sponsor.
Correct.
For the past several years. And I can say every single element of what she organized is thought of, it's prepared for, and it takes place. And I don't have to worry about anything in regards to when it's time for graduation, because that's an enormous task in itself. And as the senior sponsor, she helps organize the graduation. So her organizational skills are off the charts, Dr. Perry. Dedication is another word that I would definitely use to describe Mrs. Hoffman, as from her own testament that she just shared with you, which was she's going to pick up students to take them to their tests. Who does that? I know we're not supposed to do that, Mrs. Hoffman.
I know.
However, that's what we're talking about, the going above and beyond the call of duty for her kids. So that also brings me to the final adjective that I can think of is a nurturer. Someone who wants to nurture, who's compassionate about what she does. She nurtures her students. We should talk about building relationships. That's something that comes natural from Ms. Hoffman. She does not struggle in that department whatsoever with the students, with her peers, with administration, and we're very pleased to have her be a Panther.
So, Ms. Hoffman.
Yes.
Organized, dedicated nurturer. When you think about your storied career, what do you think has been your greatest impact?
I think now where I am, because I'm really, it's that individualized attention with students. As an administrator, I had more of, there's a bigger umbrella to, work with staff and students, which was wonderful. But, being able to see that day-to-day, one-on-one achievement that the students are making, I really feel like this has had the greatest impact, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity, especially at the end, close to the end of my career, to be able to, end it that way.
So, Mr. Lazo, wrap it up by telling us what makes Ms. Hoffman the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year.
Not only for the Teacher of the Year for Westwood, but for St. Lucie Public Schools. I believe Mrs. Hoffman has exhibited that, her day in, day out actions, what she's done for the past 32 years in public school here in St. Lucie County, the dedication that she's had as an administrator, the impact she has on teachers, myself as well as a former colleague of hers, and now I have an opportunity to stand next to her and watch her each and every day interact with the students, staff, and parents. Those attributes and characteristics are some of, compared to none, that I will put against any other fine candidate in St. Lucie Public Schools, because I know Mrs. Hoffman, I see her, I see the work, I know what she brings to the table each and every day.
Ms. Hoffman,
Yes.
Final question for you. As the Teacher of the Year at West Prep, you automatically have become their education ambassador.
Yes.
Could possibly be the education ambassador for St. Lucie Public Schools. In that role, your task is to possibly talk with parents, community members, decision makers, policy makers. What would your message be?
Well, for the students in St. Lucie County, and especially in the high schools, my message would be that we need more things to draw the kids to the school and to keep them motivated about school. We need activities, we need more extracurricular things, but in addition to that, I mean, we can offer, but especially for the green zone schools, we need to be able to get them there, and we need to be able to, support them in being a part of something that, can get them more interested in ultimately the curriculum and to be able to do better academically, and whether it's sports or technology or different clubs, and just whatever it takes to get the children to want to be there and to then want to be more successful in the classroom as well.
So Ms. Hoffman, I'll close by saying what Philip Wiley said. One good teacher in a lifetime may sometimes change a student into a solid citizen. Because of all of the work that you do in and out of the classroom, we know that you're not only helping students with reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also in becoming wonderful citizens. Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year at West Prep. And Ms. Lazo, thank you for joining us as well. Best wishes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
So at this time, we say thank you to those wonderful teachers for being such wonderful, exemplary role models and caring people. Thank you for the work you do every day to make the world a better place by the lives you touch. We are better because of you.